I don't need a flag. I don't need a group. I need to solve my problems. I need to look myself in the mirror.
They're not trying to hear that. They're not sitting down with you unless
black girls, because I think they are the most disrespected.
Turning nothing to something, getting them back like the map with instructions. No, we not doing dysfunction. Talented black, no, we be on our functions. Ain't no need for introduction. You, my friend, take a seat and discuss it.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Discussing with a Friend podcast, where we talk all things life from personal perspectives, professional perspectives, and societal. Anyways, fellas, before we get started, actually, what am I talking about? Anyways, fellas, I'm about to ask you how y'all doing. Without telling the viewers, you need to make sure you hit the subscribe button. You need to make sure you hit the like button. You need to make sure that you comment on the video. You turn on notifications. You follow us on Instagram. You like us on Facebook. You share. You do everything in your power to make sure that we blow, because we're doing this for y'all and we're doing this for us too. I can't even lie. Anyways, fellas, how y'all doing, man?
Doing good, man. Feeling good, doing good. Right, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Also, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get them, be sure to check it out because,
Need all that.
we out here, we global. But I'm doing good. I cannot complain. It was kind of a rough weekend for various reasons, but I know God got me at the end of the day. So I'm excited for this episode. Finally, long awaited Black History Month. You see, I got the hypeling on with the flags. What y'all know about this? So I'm ready to go. How y'all doing though? How you doing, Jay?
I'm good, man. Like you said, I'm ready to go for this EP. A lot of people don't know we've been waiting and planning for this particular one.
Man.
So we're dropping this right on time. But let's get right into it, fellas. Let's get right into it. So to let y'all know, viewers, we're going to do this episode a little bit different than how we usually do things. We're going to have a little game show in this to kind of give viewers some information that they may not have, and also for us just to have a little fun and answer questions that we may not know. So I'm going to come and ask some questions. Jay's going to ask some questions, and Rod's going to ask some questions. And we don't know the questions. We don't know the answers. So it's going to be interesting. So if we get something wrong, it is what it is. But we did that so y'all know how to get it right.
Yes.
That's it. So anyways, where do y'all want to start, bro? I know we're talking about a lot of stuff today. What do y'all want to hit on first?
Man, honestly, I feel like since I've been watching, I've been a lot on my phone a lot, right? Just watching through social media. And I think that this is the first year in Black History Month where mental health has been like a factor of, I guess, me thinking about that with Black History Month. Like those two things never went into the same pot in my mind. And in this Black History Month, I'm seeing a lot of people come out and talk about their importance of mental health, the strategies that they're using to improve their mental health, and just being real with the fact that they're not always okay, and that's okay. But what's not okay is being silent about it.
Okay, let's start there then. Let's start with mental health. Let's start with suicide rates and all of that, because that's something that I wanted to deep dive into. So, first off, what do y'all think about suicide in African Americans? Do you think this is something that does not exist often? Do you think this is something that's not talked about enough? What do y'all think about Black suicide and the rates that I will be giving you soon?
Well, first off, like many other things, when you're talking about minorities or Black people in general, it doesn't get enough coverage. Similar like how we talked about the cases and such, when we talked about like white girl missing syndrome and those kind of things, I don't think it receives the amount of coverage or attention that it should get. But I will say from experience as a Black man growing up, that's actually not something that you really think about. I feel like that had a lot to do with the way that you are raised. You know, it dates back to mental health at the end of the day, because, we're not really taught about mental health and how to manage it or how to deal with certain, disorders and anxiety, depression, things of that nature. I can't ever really recall a time where, I was sat down and that was something that I talked about or something that I expressed. So I feel like now with, the advent of social media and different activists and people standing up, it's more accentuated. So now it's in the spotlight for us to actually, realize that it's a thing and that it's happening all around the country. But just from my experience, yeah, I that wasn't something that I really was like made aware of. I didn't have many friends, that are black that I knew that committed suicide. Now that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying from my experience. Um, but like I said, the coverage wasn't really there for me to know that. But I also will say, as I got older, there have been people and families that I know that have suffered due to suicide, and so I do understand and I do realize that it's something that happens, but I just don't think that it receives the proper amount of coverage that it should.
That's agreed.
Definitely agree. And I think partially to that is because of people like myself. I haven't realized until I was an adult that it was a real thing for people of color. That might sound crazy to some people
It
watching this,
doesn't.
but it is true. And some people's experience of growing up, especially African American, is something that's so not talked about that we don't even recognize that being a thing for us. I even grew up saying the phrase that, oh, that's not a black people thing. We don't do that. It was just certain things we didn't do as black people, and especially as black men. And what I realized is, as an adult, when I would go back and I would look at some of my family history and their actions and things they would partake in, or even just like my neighbors or whoever might be in my community, a lot of the drug use and drinking and the violence, those are all suicidal tendencies. Those are all cries for help, and facts that people really needed mental help in those communities, and those weren't normal things. And I think that they happen so frequently that people like me who grew up seeing things like that, we normalized it and we separated it from what mental health is, and it gave us a misguided opinion about what mental health is. So I'm very very glad to talk about this today
Before
because
you,
there's some younger people watching too that need to
Go
know.
ahead, Rap.
Well, no, I was going to say before you jump in, and I think the reason why it's so normalized in our community is due to we're a race, a culture that has been taught and ingrained to endure since slavery. So we're not really, we're taught that there's only one way. Like you just got to get through it. That's how our ancestors really was raised. So that's how a lot of our family is raised. Something happens and it might be detrimental to your health, your mental health, whatever it may be, a certain situation, a certain circumstance. We are just, taught to endure. It's in our nature almost. So you don't really think about what's the repercussions of this, and what could happen, if I don't, you know get out of that mindset. Because when you're stuck in that mindset for so long, I feel like you said, you highlighted the other things that basically is suicide. Like you're gonna undertake and start going and doing those kind of things, and while it might not necessarily be suicide, it's a suicidal action or tendency in the way that you're thinking about your life, because you're taught to endure. So you're really not grasping, the severity of these situations, the severity of the behavior that you know, you're showing to people, or that you're admitting. So I think that's really what it comes down to, though. Like that slavery stuff, man, it's so deep, and it goes so far back. And I really feel like a lot of the questions about our society and why things are the way they are, or why, certain, we talk about capitalism, business, all this stuff, it goes back to slavery, because a lot of those, you know, practices and things that were going on, it was never remedied. It was kind of just put to the wayside because, oh, we're going to give you guys a little bit of this. So y'all be good right now. But I'm going to let you go, bro, because I know you can come with the real facts and
No,
percentages
so
that I've never heard.
I like how you said that like we're taught to endure, because that's absolutely true. And when I talk to someone else that's not necessarily black, they might be a minority or something else, I always talk about like how if they say man, you go through a lot. You got this going on, blah, blah, blah. I always say the same thing, which is I have a high tolerance for pain and suffering. And that's crazy that you said that, because that's not okay, but that's just how we're taught.
Right.
So that's just what we know. And to double back on what you said, Jay, that's what I wanted to touch on before I got into stats or anything like that, is that I think our suicide rates are a lot higher than what they're showing based off the data, because a lot of African Americans, they already live their life as if their life doesn't mean much. So you'll have like somebody where their friend died or something like that, and they'll go get a gun. From that moment, they'll leave their house and they'll go directly to the ops hood or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they'll go directly there knowing what's going to happen. It's 1 verse 30, but you don't care. As long as you can shoot somebody or you can act like you're doing something, but you know that's probably going to result in you dying. So that's technically suicide. You knew what was going to happen to you if you did go out and do that, and you still did it anyways. They're not going to count that as suicide. They're going to count that as black on black crime. But that's really what it is, though. It really is suicide, because that's a suicide act. So I'm glad that you
And
touched
what
on
you
that.
just said, what you said there, before we break into any further facts of this topic, is a pivotal learning moment inside of the podcast, because we have to take into factor, which I'm going to hit on in some other subjects we talk about, that we ourselves are human beings, and while we are special people, we still are that human beings, and we share the characteristics and traits of human beings amongst all people of color. And what I mean by that is that the man in general is taught to be disposable through media, TV, and things that he read, literature, books. If you look at sports or heroes, the man is always standing up for the greater good and putting himself last and the people first. And for people to not catch on to the logic that people who are raised in sometimes less better situations in their come up have the same ideas to be the hero for their family, so they will put it all on the line when not necessary to fulfill that role, and believe that that is what being a man is. I think a lot of human characteristics are overlooked when it comes to people doing the right thing or being who they're supposed to be, and we have to step back and say we are human, and we have to seek the same help and have the same responsibilities to self-help ourselves as other people.
Couldn't agree more.
Definitely speaking.
So before I tell y'all the stats, I just want y'all to guess. Who do you think self-inflicts more? Black boys or black girls?
Ooh, that's tough. Ooh, I'm gonna say black women
then,
just off the strength.
Okay, and then Jay, what do you got for me?
You know, I'm gonna have to say black men.
Okay, now Rod, can you tell me why you think what you? I thought it was black girls. It's not, but can you tell me why do you think that? It's going to be though. So we're going to touch on that as well. But can you tell me why you think that it's black girls?
I mean, I would just say I think that because I will say that black women, if we're talking about all minorities, that overall they are the ones that probably have the most disrespect. You know, they're like the lowest on the totem pole basically in society, and I don't think that, but I'm saying as far as how they're treated. But I'm not surprised that it would be black boys, black men, because I feel like with us, we're kind of just expected to be a certain way, and nobody really takes the time to understand how a man or a black man feels, because, you know, it's just a certain way you're supposed to be. Like, you're supposed to be alpha, dominant, strong, independent, you know, and that be that. And it's like, you know, it's kind of like they're taken for granted, because you see all these celebrities, rappers, all these successful black men, but you don't realize, you know, how they got there or their story or anything like that. It's just never talked about. I feel like with black women, it's not nearly where it needs to be, but I feel like at least they are more sympathized in society. I still say that they're treated worse, but
we're different on that one.
Because I feel like they're treated worse, but they still get sympathy. I feel like black men get no sympathy, honestly, like from both sides, from white and blacks.
See, I think So I chose that it was black girls as well, and it is not. But I chose black girls because I think they are the most disrespected of all races and all
I
genders,
agree
like
with that.
easily to me. And I thought, like, I know how you said that you think that we get no sympathy. I think that we get way more sympathy than black women because after Black Lives Matters movement, the black men excellence, all of that stuff is geared because of black men. So I feel like
I feel like
and
I
for
f-
another example, like the George Floyd situation, people jumped so far behind him. And I'm not saying they didn't jump behind Breonna Taylor because we got a lot of love for her, but it was national. Like the whole entire world did it for George Floyd. I feel like black
I mean they
men
had a video.
oftentimes, yeah, but it seemed like black men oftentimes get a little bit more love than black girls. And the
If you're
reason why I really
successful,
believe this, yes, that's true. But the reason why I really believe this is because we're not just getting love from black women. We're getting love from Mexicans. We're getting love from white people. We're getting love from all these people because they like us. They like what we have. They like our juice. They like our sauce. They want to be with us. They want to have sex with us. They want to, all this type of stuff. They like what
if
black
you
men bring to the
I
table.
can't I
And
can't say that because that's only if you're successful or if you're an
that's not,
athlete or if you're because I feel like this.
So
The difference between a broke or a bottom tier black guy and like a successful dude, and then the difference between like a bottom tier. It sucks to say that, but you know what I mean. Bottom tier black woman, like that's the difference because on one side, white people don't like you because you don't have whatever it takes to fit in or whatever it is, and then it's like the black woman don't want you because you don't provide, you don't do this, you don't do this or whatever. Versus a woman,
yeah.
I mean a woman, you're a woman at the end of the day, so I've seen it like man, you're desirable. Like it don't matter what you
so
do.
Let me just
one
finish
second,
my.
guys. Let's
Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. So let's make sure that we stick to addressing the
Oh
point
yeah, we were about
and
to.
we don't get into this the subjectiveness over either or. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So go ahead.
All right. So I was gonna say it's a little bit different because black women are only usually loved and liked by black men. Black men are
Mm.
usually loved and liked by everyone. Like
If you successful
everybody.
though,
That's not true though. We know too many people that are not at a successful level that white people love and they want to be with. Why? I
So
don't know if that's necessarily a reason behind it, but
you
that's
got to
how I see
factor
it.
in the social dynamic, like kind of what I was saying earlier, and I will address furthermore in this pod is that you have to factor in the social dynamic of being a man and woman, regardless of color. There's certain things that come with being one or the other, um, certain good and certain bad. And I think that you just take a man of any color, and there's going to be some favoritism in a lot of different departments and aspects of life, just off the simple fact that he's a man, and there's certain things that people are going to believe that he may have either physical capabilities or the mindset for because of what gender he was born to, and as there is for women. And I think in a lot of cases, because we're in a capitalistic economy, a lot of cases it does work out in the favor that as far as social status, being a man is a lot
well,
easier
yeah,
to
I
advance
know all
social
that.
status.
Yeah,
um, yeah, so I think that that's where it comes in to make the argument that it probably is a little bit easier um, for the man over the woman.
oh,
And
I'm
as
not
far as
debating
who's
that.
sympathetic and who gets more support, yeah.
I just say they get more sympathy
But
because I mean, you're a woman. Women get more sympathy than men. I'm not saying, but I
so
also agree that women get more disrespect than men. But if you're a man, you're not getting
Yeah,
sympathy like that, bro.
I see what you're saying though. Like
yeah,
you're not wrong, and I'm not wrong, and I'm not right, and you're not right. It's
That's all
just
I'm
that we
saying.
looking
Yeah,
at it from
yeah.
different points of views. But Jay, can you tell us why you
So
chose black men?
yeah,
And then
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
throw out these
yep.
stats.
So I was saying that to say that that's what kind of formed my choice around my choice being black men is because there's a weird social dynamic that goes into that. As a black man, and I'll tell you, this is odd that we're talking about this today because this literally happened today. I was happened to be at a camera store buying a purchasing camera for business purposes. The camera was around $5,000. Nothing crazy, but it's not a cheap camera, you know. And I had to go to my bank and get an extension on my daily spending limit because I happened to be spending some money for business earlier yesterday, and it was still inside of the date by time. So I went and did that and came back. There was a young black lady who was making a purchase for her business. I went and got a card and talked to her previous to her purchase. She made a further purchase of around the same price, and no comments were made to what she does for work or about the quality of the camera she was using, being a good camera. It was just a purchase, and she moved on her way. I noticed that when I was talking with the people in the store, before I knew it, I was talking with 5 different people that work on the store floor. We were talking about my day, my business, what I was doing, the quality of the camera, my business having to be making money to be able to come in and just buy a camera for $5,000. And I didn't go there talking about price. I was like, whatever is the best you got, give me all the tools and the fixings with it. There was I believe that those people were not conscious of the fact that they were basically saying to me, even if you couldn't afford the $5,000 camera, I believe you might be easier to work with and a little bit friendlier to talk to. And if you can't afford the $5,000 camera, there's an excuse for that. Like, you're a young black guy, you're probably just trying to work hard to make it. I don't think they had the same thoughts for that lady. I think the expectation was, please don't give me an issue. And if you can't afford it, just pick something you can afford. They didn't say that, but the social dynamic and not giving her conversation and being interested in her business, she make an equivalent purchase, told me that. And when I thought about that, I was like, wow, imagine having an excuse to be lesser on the totem pole of financial stability as a black man, but yet you are a man and you're subjective to what a man is, and that's to be the provider and idealistically be someone who could protect whatever you believe in. And if you can't do that, that must be something very daunting on your mental health.
So you're saying that you made the
So
same purchase and they talked to you and not her?
yeah, I relatively got a better reference to customer service and relatively held on conversations with everyone in the store, and they brought over interest in me. I didn't reach out to them. Versus her purchase was relatively very quick, straight to the point, and that was
I
it.
just
I think
want
it
to,
goes back to kind of our point of,
yeah.
black women being disrespected.
But
Go ahead, Rod.
I mean, I just want to offer just a contrast because one thing that women do say, like, they don't like, because I mean, guys will try to like give like a compliment or try to make small talk or whatever, but a lot of times women will come off and be like, I don't want to talk, or I don't, they view that as, oh, you're doing too much, or you're trying to pursue me, or you know what I'm saying? So it could have been one of those, well, we don't want her to, take it the wrong way, because a lot of women do feel like that. And it's like, it depends on the place and the time and all this other stuff. Like it, it could be one of those. Cause I know sometimes even with me, like, like we've had this conversation on a previous episode just about compliments and stuff. Like, I don't really try to be necessarily as receptive or as, gracious with it, because I don't want people to take stuff the wrong way. Like, especially nowadays in society, like, you might say, hey, like, I like your nails or something. And now she think, I'm trying to wine and dine or something. So that might have been what they were thinking. I don't, I wasn't there. I'm sure that what you're saying has stock at the end of the day, but I'm just saying that could have been one of the reasons. Like, she a woman, we just want her to, let her do her and let it be that.
Okay, so to jump into the stats, y'all probably won't even believe this, but per 100,000 people, 4.5 black boys kill themselves. And then per 100,000 people, 1.6 black girls kill themselves. But the craziest
It's
statistic of all,
heartbreaking.
because this is something that I paid attention to over the years, which is why I was so happy that we were about to jump into something like this when we were in our group chat talking about it, is the rate for black girls committing suicide is increasing double the rate of African American men. in boys. So they're increasing by a rate of 6.6% per year. So the reason why I brought that up is, like I said, about the Black Lives Matter, the Black excellence. So much of that is geared towards guys. I think we need to start reshifting the things that we, the basically the popularity of what we're talking about. It needs to start being Black women, Black excellence for girls, Black girl magic, things like that, because their rate, if their rating is increasing 6.6% and it's doubling our rate, that means that whatever we're doing right now for us, it's kind of working. But we didn't push them so far on the back burner that it's hurting them now. So we need to find a way to either balance that or reshift our focus, because we need Black girls, because without Black girls, there's no Black men. There's no
Facts.
reproduction. So we need to focus on that a lot. But I want to hear y'all. I just want to hear y'all take on what I just told y'all. So Jay, go ahead, man.
For sure. So this doesn't make me necessarily right, but my belief on this is it falls back into social dynamic of what a man is and what a woman is traditionally. If you identify as something else, I ask you just to be open minded on what the traditional premises of those two operations of sex are, right? So for the most part, statistically, in the last 20 years, single family households have become more of a commonality amongst the Black community. That has forced, and we've seen yet again,
By the way, I
a
don't
lot
I
of,
don't want to stop you, but those
yeah,
date those percentages were from 10 to 19 years old. I just want to throw that out there. It's
okay,
not overall.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
okay. So I appreciate that, because that could have flawed this point, and it would have been no point in making this. I think this point was still hit home with this. So a lot of people watch their mother be the father in their home, and when I say be the father, I don't mean a figure of authority. I don't believe that's all that a father is. Statistically, through historical means, a father has always been the provider. Whoever's providing, you could be having someone else having input on the rules and the mindset. They could have a mentor for how they're raising the child, but the provider is the father in that home. And when you get that, you get a demographic of the women's sex who's having the pressures of a father. So they're having pressures that men deal with, yet they still have the pressures and carry the burden of pressures that that society puts on them as a woman. And we have ours and they have theirs. So I believe that some women in aspect are seeing a upbringing where they're taught to handle both sides of the ball, being a man and being a woman, and they have to deal with the psychology of that, and it's very, very taxing, especially for the youth. And as we progress in this world, things become a little bit easier in the way that we do things. I think it's safe to say that this time for Black people is a lot easier than it was 55, 60
Absolutely.
years
Be a fool
ago.
not to agree.
And when you take that into factor, better times makes a little bit of softer people. And when we take into factor that even us, we didn't grow up as hard as our parents did, and that can, you just don't have the tools to deal with some of the things that they dealt with mentally. They may have found was easy to deal with mentally, unless you seek them with self-help, but you have to first know where to even look. And I think that a lot of youth, because they only been here X amount of years, they don't know anything. You're not supposed to know anything. They don't know where to go. There's a lot of people who know where to go, and they have nowhere to look and find the answers, and they don't know to look within. And I think that statistic is driven off of that. And I think that one way that we combat that is by doing our job as men and be men, and make sure that if we take on the responsibility of starting a family, that we be the father in our home, and we still recognize that the father is the provider in the home, and we provide, and we take that social dynamic responsibility of a young woman being raised thinking that she not only has to provide when she meets a mate, she still needs to be the provider, and she needs to be able to raise her children and carry all of the societal burdens that women have, and then take on men's responsibilities too.
I think that is an absolute great point, and it does make it tough for Black women, because they're gonna grow up more dominant and grow up more learning to do both things, like you said. But the problem is when you do grow up and you get to a certain age and you want a man, a lot of men want black girls or girls in general to forget about the dominant side, like everything that they did their entire existence of growing up. They want you to they want you to be feminine. But the problem with that is we got a lot of feminine men. So I'm glad that you talked about us getting softer as generations grow and grow. So I think that is something that we can deep dive into as well. But I'm gonna let you go, Rod, and just respond.
I mean, well, first off, like I said, it was heartbreaking just to hear that. Um, I mean, that's kind of staggering. 4.5 out of 100,000. That's pretty staggering. And then to hear that the rate is increasing, honestly, I think it starts with the environment. Because I mean, you would say parenting, but I have to say environment because sometimes, based off your environment, certain circumstances, um, it enables you to get caught up in things which, don't allow you to be there for your family or whatever it is. Um, so, basically what I'm saying is, living in like impoverished areas, living in poverty in areas where you don't have adequate resources to really keep kids out of trouble. So they take to other things, and you're gonna go for what you know. So if all you see is gang members and pimps and sex and drugs and all this stuff growing up, I mean, it's only a matter of time before you partake on those kind of activities, unless you find yourself in a different situation or a change of environment, change of pace, change of scenery, that allows you to know different. And that's kind of what I was speaking about on the American Dream episode. It's hard to really want better when you don't know that there is better. You don't even know that it exists. So I feel like a lot of, minorities, black people like us, they grow up in certain situations, circumstances, and that's all they know. And they don't know a other side. You have to get lucky almost to catch one of them experiences, whether that's a field trip or whether that's I have to move because this happened in my family and now I have to have a new guardian, and I was living in the city and now I'm living in Florida or something. Like it's got to be one of those kind of experiences where you get a chance to see more. You know, TV and all that stuff, like you could say that, but even then, what if, sometimes you down bad, you ain't even got nothing like that. But then it goes to
You know
parenting.
what?
I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
then it goes to parenting because, you know, the nuclear family, I don't think that I'm not gonna say it don't exist because it obviously exists for us,
It doesn't exist right
but
now,
but for,
really,
for
to be
if
honest.
and that's what I would have liked to seen is the numbers on that. I just want to know the numbers on how many black families have a two parent household because that's like one of the main things that affect I feel like our race. Two parent households. And then it's like if you do got a two parent household, then you got to deal with all the, problems of that because being together with somebody for 20, 30 plus years and y'all done been through hard times, that's going some problems are going to arise from that. So that's a whole nother scenario in and out of itself.
37%, by the way. And then there's 48% that are living in a single household, which I actually, I agree with you, Jay, about the dad not being there and things like that that are affecting it. So we're going to talk about Dr. Jawanza Kanjofu later on. But in his book, he mentioned that the problem the problem with growing up is that women raise their daughters and then they love their sons. And I think that is extremely true, which is why we have a lot of a softer generation. Because once again, if a woman raises her daughter is going to know to be dominant because she's going to know that she needs to do this, she has to do this, she has to provide because her mom is the only one that's there to provide, and her mom is the only one that's there to clean and do this and do that. And then for the male, if you always getting love and you're barely getting disciplined, of course you're going to grow up thinking that that's how the world works. So I think it's very important for us as African Americans to have, like you said, Rod, a two-parent home. It's the only way that we can fix
Right.
majority of
Cause
our
just from
problems.
my experience, like y'all have siblings. I don't have no siblings. So I grew up, I was the only child. So my mom was the mother and father for me. So she was disciplining me, but she was loving me and raising me at the same time. But where I feel like the disconnect was certain things you can't teach me as a woman to a man.
Yes.
It's impossible. Like no matter how much time, love, money, whatever it is, there's certain things, unwritten things that you will never be able to teach me that I'll have to just find out on my own. And a lot of the stuff was trial and error. And it's like I got lucky. I truly got lucky that, I actually listened and I was receptive of what my mom and my auntie and my grandma was telling me. And, that I was in a certain environment where I was able to succeed and thrive upon that. And that's why I'm saying sometimes it's luck because I could have went the other way or I could have not been one of them because everybody is different. A lot of people don't understand it, right, and so but not everybody is receptive like that. Even when I was talking to about like how to raise kids and stuff, like how I want to raise my kids and stuff, and like I was saying, like I wouldn't be like how my mom was. I love my mom to death, and I appreciate everything she done. But I wouldn't be like how she was. I would damn near raise my kids with not as much emphasis on school. Like, of course, that's gonna be like the number one, but I'm gonna make sure that number two and number three is close in importance. So, like, well-rounded student. Like, if you like sports, if you like anime, whatever it is, like you got to actually try to understand people. And that's what I really truly feel like our race, our parents don't really try to understand a lot of the times because they're in a situation where they need to make sure that they're providing and imparting survival like skills in you that they had to cultivate. So you getting a lot of the times where you getting the top athlete, top whatever it is, they the top, they excel. But then it's like, oh well, what happened to him? Why does he have drug problems? Why does he have mental health problems or whatever? That's because nobody took the time to understand them. They've been pushed to do one thing for so long because they have some kind of talent or there's some kind of aptitude, but you're not trying to understand who that person is. Versus a white person, we're understanding you before anything else. Like we making sure that we're showing all sides of the kind of person you are in every facet. You know, if you're a black person and you're good at one thing, that's all they look at you for. They're not looking at you as a person that has other sides and what you are like. That's not even how you were taught. You were just taught to be good, be the best, and everything else will figure itself out. So you got to try to understand, like as a parent, and that's no disrespect to no parents because I understand why you need to be a parent like how you are. Because I've seen a lot of moms that are like me, my mom and your mom are like the same. Jaquan, like they are very stern and they are very driven and they care about working hard and all that type of stuff. And there's a reason behind that. But I feel like more parents would do better by even regardless of the situation that y'all are in or whatever it is you have to do, try to understand your kid. Like, that's because, man, I've seen it. Like, I've seen it locally where, you know, like you think somebody is good. Like, you really, like, everything else looks fine on the outside, but it's like, did nobody take no time to see how they was feeling on the inside? And then, tragic things happen.
Yeah. So Jay, we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. I'm gonna ask
Yep.
strictly you. What do you think is the number one reason why black people are committing suicide?
Um, Plain and simple, my belief is that one thing that when I meet other people around my age, especially people that are, life is not treating them kind right now. They don't treat themselves kind, and I think that it's important that when you come up in a circumstance where some people may be looking at you trying to tell you who you're going to be and looking at you in a certain light. Or you may come up in a single family home and you may feel a disconnect with the parent because that parent can't be everything for you. That's why traditionally there's two people in the household, but they do all they can do. If you ever feel that, the greatest responsibility you owe yourself is to look in the mirror and make sure you be real with yourself on what you feel like you're missing, and you communicate that with yourself, and you go out there and seek in the world what you wish you had as a kid, and you fulfill that and you heal. I think that is missing in our community. I think that's totally okay to turn 18 and be like, hey, I'm a little bit behind, but I don't have to finish last, and I can focus, and I can go see what is it in my psychology that I don't grasp very well. Like, I know for myself, I had terrible communication issues with other human beings. It's a common trait with people that were raised by single mothers. Men, statistically, that are raised by single mothers typically communicate very poorly amongst with other men, and everything is a debate and an argument. Once I started to notice that, I
Boy, you
became
talk
very,
about
very
me?
coachable, and I stopped arguing with my coach.
Nah,
I mean,
I hear
I'm
you. I
talking
hear you.
about
I hear you.
myself. Like, it's real, man. Like, and I took that as a factor. And there's things I feel like every birthday, there's things I learned that, okay, this is something that I need to work inside of my game
This is
to
facts.
be a better suited man for my family and to be a better brother and a better future father. And when we look at it that aspect and we look in the mirror instead of asking the world to solve our problems or looking external and ask for another group to come up and make a flag for us, we win. I don't need a flag. I don't need a group. I need to solve my problems. I need to look myself in the mirror. I need to be real with myself.
One more question before we move on, and just let's make this quick because we do have other topics we want to get into. I liked how you brought up that a lot of us aren't coachable, and it's always an argument or anything like that when we speak. If we're raised by a single parent, do you guys have mentors? Because I feel like that is the biggest one of the biggest issues in the black community is a lot of people do not have mentors. So of course they're gonna come with this argumentative type tone anytime they talk because anybody that is talking to them, it's almost like you trying to tell me I'm wrong or you're trying to tell me what to do. And I grew up with a bunch of different mentors, which is why I'll argue and I'll debate. But you guys know me. I'm very understanding. Like I'll be like, "Hey, Rod, I see what you're saying. All right, Jay, I see what you're saying. My bad, blah, blah, blah. Or I could do this better. I could do that. That works a little bit better for me, I think, because I've had mentors. And I think if a lot of more African American men had them, we'd be a lot better off.
Okay. I mean, I agree.
You ask why before you argue, which is something a lot of people should do. You guys don't let that run over your head, for real. That's one thing I always recognize Jay did well, is before he argues or debate a point, he'll ask you why he said it. Even if he thinks you're full of crap, he'll look at you and say, okay, why? Like, because you may say something that changes his mind, but he gives a chance to leave his mind open to the possibility that he may not actually know everything.
But I'd be thinking I know a whole lot,
I mean,
and I usually do.
all I'm gonna say is, I mean, as a black man coming from a single mother, I've never really had mentors per se. I mean, I would say my mom is a mentor, but like if we're talking about like somebody that was
external.
I mean, I've had people here and there, like at certain times of my life, but I really think that it depends on the kind of person you are and the kind of experiences you go through. Because even if you do have somebody that's good and that's speaking what you need to hear, I mean, it's only going to be effective if you're willing to accept it or you're receptive to that. So that's why I feel like somebody like me that was very argumentative, very debating, wanted to debate and always wanted to be right or whatever. I'm still like that in certain circumstances.
And there's nothing wrong
No,
with that either, as long as you do come into every argument or every conversation with an open
right.
mind. Now, if you are argumentative and you do want to change somebody else's mind, it is what it
Right.
is.
And that's what I'm getting to. I mean, through certain experiences, I realized why I needed to be more open to like what other people had to think because I had, I'm hard headed. I had to be wrong in certain areas or certain situations for me to be like, dang, like, they did say this or, I could have did this. So I think that comes with wisdom, comes with experience. So, but I will say I did have an opportunity like 2 weeks ago to meet with this person that is going to potentially be a mentor. So, we're going to see how it goes. I'll let y'all know how it goes.
Cool. All right, man. All right, fellas, let's hop into this Brian Flores situation. I want you to carry this, Jay, because I know you got some stuff you want to get off your chest. So, without further ado, here you go, my brother. Here's the torch.
Yeah, very, very interesting situation. I think that this situation is something that's a lot bigger than football, and it's a lot bigger than Flores, excuse me. I think that he even stated that himself. Before I even get into this, I want to commend him on coming out and expressing how he actually felt, being true to that, regardless if you feel he's right or wrong. That's something very difficult to do in a situation, and he has a lot to put on the line. Even though he has secured a job here recently, there's still some things that he put on the line as far as what he can do with the future of his career and how people, based off of people, how they feel about him. So with that being said, this is a guy who has filed a lawsuit, 3, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe 3 now, lawsuits against the NFL for discrimination on his stance on if black people are getting the opportunity to take on head coach jobs, for the viewers listening that don't know. So historically, there's not been a lot of black head coaches. One of the most biggest head coaches that is known in the NFL happens to be the Steelers coach,
sir.
Thompson, and he's been doing his thing.
Tomlin.
Great
Mike
coach.
Tomlin.
Tomlin, excuse me. What did I say? Thompson. He has been somebody who has been showing that black men can be a leader, even amongst great men in a locker room in a sport like football. Brian wants to show the same thing. So the thing is that when you have a situation like this where you are not necessarily wrong, and even the facts speak for themselves, and we have evidence that there is some social bias in the NFL due to the fact that Brian was texted by another coach, congratulations on securing the job on a team he did not get the job for, because there was a mix-up in another coach sharing the same first name as this guy. So he then knew, because he didn't have the interview yet, that the job was chosen to the guy that they were going to give it to before he even got an opportunity to speak on his own behalf. That in itself did show some evidence of discrimination. But this is why I bring up the point that I brought up earlier. We have to factor in the fact that we are human, and we are human first, despite any type of color. And with being human, we're always going to have favoritism. And these people in this group that chose to hire this person to lead their organization, I believe it was the Giants, are going to have favoritism in who they choose. And oftentimes when we choose somebody, we know long in advance who we want to be on our team and who we don't want to be on our team. And it could have been a possibility that they could have known this guy is the best man for the job. And while I have nothing against Brian, Brian is not the guy for this job. Now, I know a lot of people are getting angry when I say this, but I want you to be open-minded and actually listen to what I have to say here. They have no social responsibility to hire Brian other than giving him the opportunity to do the interview.
They don't even got to give you the opportunity.
That's not me saying I agree with. That's not saying that I agree with him. That's saying that because of what's actually in place as far as the rules, all they have to do is give him an opportunity to do the interview, and then it's over. Now I address my stance. The issue isn't to argue it being necessarily racist or not. It's going to be racist. You're talking about older white men in an organization with ownership. There's going to be social biases there. There's going to be social biases that those men aren't even conscious of, and it can't be explained to them because they lived it their whole life. The issue is the way that we're arguing this for change. Anytime that I see in the last 5 to 6 years, especially, we've tried to argue change through social bias, instead of bringing in oftentimes a lot of experts who can actually address why there is social bias there and the evidence in human psychology, despite of color, we hop immediately into black support and let's stand up and let's kneel and let's protest. And I'm not here to say that's wrong, but we have to bring in experts that can talk about the social dynamic of just being a human being, period, and why all human beings equally are subjective to social bias as an argument to get the other side to be able to see why there needs to be change and where this change needs to start. Until we start arguing that point, it's always going to be a black man mad because he didn't get the job. Another black man just looking like he's trying to give out a handout with him getting a job under another black coach. And it's going to be looked at as a them against us instead of let's equally try to see where our social biases align on both sides and how we can bring fair opportunity to the hiring process.
Well, I'm going to keep
in the
it a buck.
NFL.
They're not about to do that, but they should do that. But this is what I'm going to say. First off, there's only really two ways to go about getting some real change in regards to the NFL. Because who has all the power? The owners. So the only way you're going to really have any power is if you buy one of these teams. So somebody with an enormous amount of bread is going to have to come up with it and buy one of these teams. And I know that they, it's not the easiest thing or whatever, but money talks. If you got somebody that was wealthy enough, that had the money, that was like, I'm gonna buy this team, a couple people, and it can't just be one. It got to be more than one. It got to be like 4 or 5, a couple people. And I'm not saying go buy, like, you got to buy a good team. Like, it got to be enough. Like, it can't just be one. Do that. Or because you're saying, like, meet in the middle, see where our biases align, which would be nice. I really wish they would do that. I don't think they will. If they're not willing to do that, then 70% of the NFL is black. I know they're not going to do this, but y'all make your own league, because a lot of people don't understand that most of these sports was created for them. They created them, and we joined. Yeah, we happen to be better a lot of the time, but it's their rules. They created it. So instead of trying to, y'all need to treat us equally, y'all need to do this or whatever, why don't you go out and make your own thing? It wasn't possible back then, but it's possible now. It's just, somebody got to sacrifice. And by somebody, it got to be everybody. And nobody wants to make them sacrifices. If everybody in the league, starting with the top black players in the league, said, hey, I'm not playing no more, what is the NFL going to do? If they're not able to get black talent, that's because it's going to be a trickle down effect. So, like, there would be nothing they could do. It's just nobody's willing to miss that amount of checks, that amount of money, that amount of endorsements, whatever it is, and take that initial sacrifice to do it. So I can respect Brian Flores for doing it because he's like the sacrificial lamb as far as the coaching goes. But it needs to be even to a higher degree. A head coach doing this is not going to do nothing. It needs to be somebody with some real bread or power to either buy one of them teams, or it got to be a big, like, players in the league, Russell Wilson, like top players in the league, and not just one, saying, I'm not going to keep playing no more until we get these coaches or we get whatever it is we need. Make that NFLPA actually do something for y'all.
You know what, man? I couldn't agree more. So I'm not even gonna make my point long-winded. I'm gonna be straight up. Why do we care so much about being in a room that they don't want us in? That's what I don't get. If they don't want us to be in that room, why are y'all so invested on being in that room instead of creating your own? And then if you're so much against the racist biasm,
then you should be done.
NFL, why would you then go get another job in the
NFL? Lesser job
that makes a lesser job, number one, and then buy a black coach, which is nice, but basically you just got hired because you're black by another black coach because he's black. There's no other reason why you have a job. So now you look like a fool to me personally. And when I was watching podcast, I Am Athlete, they talked about J.R. Smith talked about how it's so crazy how he was sitting next to Russell Westbrook. He was sitting next to DeMar. He was sitting next to all these big time players with these big contracts. And they're talking about Dang, what should we ask the owners for? Dang, why we
Ask
don't
them,
have
what you
this in our
asking for?
neighborhoods? Why we don't got the reason why you don't have this in your neighborhood is because y'all not willing to put up no money. All y'all willing to do is put up your mouths. If you're gonna just run your mouth about things not being right, but you're not willing to do anything to make those things right, you're useless. You're wasting our time. So it's really not. It's really not about us wanting a black coach. It's really not about us feeling like black people don't have this in the NFL. They don't have that. It's we want to follow their rules but change their rules. Which one do you
You
want?
too lazy.
You got to choose one. You can't do both. Yeah, there's no way you can do both. And I think it's real foolish. And I like the craziest part to me is it's not just that it's racist for black people in the NFL. It's also racist to white people. I can't even lie. Like if you ask anybody in the NFL who's the best wide receiver, they're not about to say Cooper Kupp.
They are now.
They're never going to mention Cooper Kupp.
They are now.
They still won't say that. They're still saying Devontae Adams.
That's crazy though. You're not lying, but that is crazy. Muggs is still saying, dude. I don't know why.
A white person not supposed to do the stuff
That's
they're supposed to do. It's just like when Christian McCaffrey was going crazy. When he was going crazy, running around everybody, they're still saying it's Saquon Barkley. It's racism. It's racism in each side. But we so worried about our side. Like 70% of the NFL aren't black people.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We got to be able to address social biases on both sides.
It's crazy to me, bro. And that's all I got for this, bro.
And then I'm gonna just speak to the first part because so Bill Belichick texted dude on accident. He texted the other Brian that didn't get the job, Flores, when he tried to text Dayball. But my thing is that so bad? Because I mean, if you're an organization and y'all already know who y'all gonna get, like, why does it matter who knows? Like,
yeah, that's not.
Exactly. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, exactly. That's not a bad thing. And it's a very human thing. Like, I think people try to dehumanize Bill Belichick and other people surrounded around that event. Look, we're all friends. Let's say if we were picking a fourth member for the podcast, and all three of us behind closed doors knew who the fourth member was going to be, and we brought on 8 people to interview, why the heck would we sit here and act like, oh, I'm sorry, buddy.
Well, I'm gonna keep it stacked. I wouldn't do that. I would just be like, hey, bro, that's over with. We found our one. But
yes, it's okay to have your person. It's social bias from a human being, and it's what we do. We're subjective to it. And it's not always a bad thing. In some things, it's actually makes common sense. So that's why I'm saying, like, I think that we get lost in the sauce on what's actually allowed. We get lost in the factor of how people feel, and people get up and say how they feel first. And I get it. I get where you come from. It's black this, do this, do. And it's like, all right, look, did you even read how the structure of the NFL ownership is dispersed? How many owners are actually clear cut? Owners are over 50%. The buying do you even know any of the actual like laws and what's written into this? Or did you just get up and say how you feel one day based off a bunch of factors don't know what you're talking about? And when you do that, what it does is it brings no legitimacy to what you have to say. And
That's
sometimes
true.
why that hurts so bad is because you're not necessarily wrong. And now you're not about to get any help. Now you're a joke
because you're putting yourself above the cause.
Yeah, in this situation, he's not wrong.
He put himself above the cause.
He's not
at all.
He was mad because I lost a whole bunch of games and I wasn't able to get my job. When I seen a whole bunch of other white people lose a whole bunch of games and they got to keep their job, he thinks that's an issue, which is valid. But what do you get paid to do? You get paid to win games. You weren't doing that, so they got you up out of there. It doesn't matter if you was purple, orange, you getting up out of there.
Well, they got him up out of there. They got him up out of there for winning games. Actually,
I mean, yeah, apparently.
So,
but
still,
there's a situation.
Yeah, but still, why do you care? Make your own.
And that's another situation of human beings being human beings. He was thrown out of his position because he didn't choose to throw games so they can get better draft picks for the next season and be put into a better position. Well, the thing is look, while you are a coach that you are incentivized to win and you find joy in winning, this is still an organization that thrives off of capitalism. And you guys are going to be a lot better if you actually do get that pick next year and you do lose these games. And the owner's going to make a lot more money. So what do you expect the owner to do? At that point, it doesn't matter if you're green, blue, red, orange, purple, the rainbow, the sun.
He
whatever,
won games, but you still had a losing season.
It goes back to it goes back to us wanting to be in their league and play by their rules, but also create our own. Like, make your mind up. What do you want to do?
Yeah, and you know what? But sometimes, and this is bigger than just even this NFL situation. If it's okay to want to be in a room, but you cannot be in a room and not know the rules and just explain how you feel. Nobody cares how you feel. If you're going to be in the room and know how to play the game.
Hey, that's facts. And I feel like, you know, when you're talking about rights and certain things like that, you need a leader. You need somebody that's going to lead by example. You know, because speaking even football terms, Tom Brady, the reason why Bill Belichick was able to do what he did and coach the way he does is because Tom Brady was receptive to that. And everybody else on the team realized, wow, if Tom Brady is, you know, just one of the guys like us, we have no choice but to fall in line. So I feel like if this was to really have, you know, traction or really go anywhere, it got to start with Mike Tomlin, because whether he like it or not, you are the guy for this. Like, you are the guy. So if it's not you leading the charge, nobody else is going to really be receptive to that or even want to listen, because they're always going to just say, well, Mike Tomlin, you know, he didn't say, or he didn't do this or whatever. So if it's not you, like, it's almost like they're going to discredit it from the jump. So I don't know, like, it sucks because he's automatically thrust into that position. But Brian Flores, you know, any of these other guys, y'all not going to be the one to really, you know, y'all not going to be the one to lead this. He can be the catalyst. Like, you can start it off.
And you know what sucks about all of this? I'm just going to throw this out before we push forward to the next topic. Is that all the coaches that are coming out and saying something are all the coaches that did nothing but lose. I can't even lie. Like, that's what makes it rougher to kind of, you know, accept Hugh Jackson, Brian Flores. Like, both of y'all have losing seasons. So it's not, how can you get a white person to come to your side and agree with you when y'all didn't do anything but lose? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hear nothing. If you were hired to win and you do nothing but lose, regardless of what you're saying is happening, which we all understand and we agree with, that there is racism, it don't matter if you're losing.
Absolutely. It was running to get people to help you that don't have a solution. Like, if we're all three of us trying to build a desk and y'all don't know how to build it, and I call y'all and say, let's build it, what help did I really get? You could have just found somebody that knows how to speak in that room. And I think that's where I was coming from with saying that he's got to get somebody who can actually correlate the idea that he's trying to have and make it digestible to that party. Like, one guy I had that came in mind, I think all of us listen to this guy. What is his name? He does a lot of podcasts and seminars, speaks about psychology a lot.
Simon Sinek? What race
is
he?
Wow. He's a white guy, taller,
Tom
longer
Biley?
hair. No, he's been on the show before though. Dang it, I can't believe I can't remember his name right now. But he's a psychologist. But he talks about nothing.
There you go.
Yes, he talks nothing but about social dynamics of human beings interacting and why we have biases and why they're healthy. And sometimes when it's important to realize that someone's going to have a bias, and when they have that bias, not to take it personal. And if you get too wrapped up into taking it personal with your feelings, you're not going to be able to communicate the actual issue because
rich people not trying to hear that. Rich people not trying to hear that.
Nobody's trying to hear that. I'm not rich yet, and I'm not trying to.
But I'm saying that rich people damn near will never be receptive to that because I'm making the rules. So why do I have to understand somebody else if I can make the rule? That's how they view things.
That's a fact.
That's what I'm gonna sit down for you for if.
So that's not wrong, but that's looking at it from hear my feelings. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm going goes way beyond hear my feelings. Where I'm going says we talk about the social dynamic of the issues of why these people feel this way, and here's a consequence of not complying with what we have to offer.
The consequence got to be hitting in pockets.
The problem is, the problem is, bro, they don't.
Yes,
exactly. It has to be.
It has to be
league or doing your own because both of y'all make valid points, but bro, like Rod said, if I can make my own rules, what do I look like?
Because I get what you're saying.
It doesn't matter.
On my soul.
What you're saying makes the most sense, and that's how we would do things. But that's the Jordan Peterson way. That's the logical way. But an owner doesn't have to be logical. They're billionaires. There's nothing you can tell.
Because Jay,
it's like telling Trump that he gotta listen.
That's dead.
He's not gonna do it.
But Jay, because I get what you're saying, because you're saying based off what the players are saying, that's what needs to be done, because that's kind of how they viewing it, and that's kind of how everybody else is viewing it. But viewing it like that is not going to get them anywhere, because like we saying, they're not trying to hear that. They're not sitting down with you unless you are the top of the line players. So if it's Russ, Kyler, Lamar, all of them though, Mike Tomlin, all of y'all, unless it's coming from all of y'all collectively, we have nothing to talk about.
No, 100%. So what part was not said is the leading factor of where the conversation would go to was putting in people other than people that are currently involved in the situation into the thought process. Because you need experts, you need other people, you need a fresh eye. You can't only speak from just your party, because your party is biased as theirs is. And
Tom Brady and them, you're right.
So actions lead behind that, right? I didn't talk about those actions, because then we would be talking about NFL Brian Flores, for the next 40. Like it would be too long. So I just talked about the first initial step. But one thing I do want to go over before we press on too long is something super important. It's very close to the situation. And it's the Olympic skater who just actually tested positive for a steroid at the age of 15 and is being allowed to skate currently. While there's been an uproar about Miss Richardson, who hasn't been able to.
She Russian, boy. That's what
Russians finna cancel us.
Yeah. No joke.
Yeah, bro.
But we've had a phenomenal U.S. athlete that hasn't even been able to compete in her competition due to.
You said
phenomenal. Sha'Carri Richardson. I said Richardson at first, and I went on and said phenomenal athlete. Excuse me. Sha'Carri Richardson, who wasn't able to race due to having marijuana found in her system, which we all know is not a performance enhancer.
She was wrong too, though.
Huh?
Just throw that out there.
No, absolutely, and we're gonna get to that. So what do you guys, I guess, know and see about this situation that you like in question, like, okay, why is the figure skater allowed to skate versus her just like flat out she was not able to run?
From my perspective, I'm gonna totally be honest. I have no idea really what you're talking about. Like I saw the article, I read a little bit of the article, but one thing about me, if I'm ignorant on a topic, I will not give too much insight on it, because I don't want to look like a fool. So I don't know. You would have to educate me yourself on that. I don't even know what drugs she's taking. I didn't even know she was 15. I thought she was a grown woman. So
me too. Like she was skating.
Yeah, bro. You'd have to kind of educate me.
Hey, I got you. I can educate you. So basically, I don't know what happened either. I'm not even gonna cap to y'all. Hey.
Oh man, bro, I got to listen up. I'm like, I know the situation. So, what made me look into this situation wasn't the fact that, first, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't care that she tested positive for a performance enhancing drug, because I was like, okay, she tested positive, she's not gonna be able to compete. End of story. Whatever. I'm not really too into the Olympics myself anymore. Anyway, though I have heard her name in figure skating, because she literally at 15 is being called the best figure skater of all time, which I think is nuts. But I watched her skate on YouTube, and it is insane. 15, she skates like she's been doing this for 30 years. But so this child basically is able to still compete and loopholing the system, because at being the age 15, she's not responsible for herself in a simple sense. So right now, with her being testing positive, what's unfortunate and what was happening in Sha'Carri Richardson's situation is that she represents herself due to her age. And when USADA popped her for something that's openly and obviously not to be able to be used while you're competing, there was no question about it whose fault it was. They have to come to a conclusion solidly whose fault it was. And where this becomes a real brainstorm is that Russia actually isn't even supposed to be competing in the Olympics. They actually have athletes that compete under another federation, but they are currently banned from the Olympics for events like this, for doping over and over again, different athletes, which has just been crazy because I'm like, here we are again. So obviously, yeah, giving them a different organization does not
stop three of us, bro. We can't do nothing with that Russian army.
Well, I got the flag. Well, I'm protected in this mug.
If whatever they're giving that girl to skate, if they give any guy like that something to go to war with,
a problem.
Yeesh. But
a major one.
So right now they're trying to figure out who is really the blame and who do you point the finger at in the situation. Now the kind of the coin toss here is that she's going to be able to skate, but let's say she skates and she wins gold. What could end up happening is once her appeal is over, because she did appeal what she was accused of, and they're bringing evidence to show that this was either not to her fault or it was consumed without her knowledge, her gold medal could be stripped. So I will tell people, for viewers watching, if you guys are following this story, don't be so quick to get into your feelings and get online and bash this 15-year-old girl, because she could win it all and she may not have a medal at the end of the day. They may take that away, or she may actually be able to keep her medal, and we may actually find out that there has been a situation where some things that she ingested has been tampered with to push her performance heavily without her knowledge. Now, I know to a lot of people that might sound crazy, like, how would you not know? You have to keep in mind that no matter how good she skates and how good she articulates herself through interviews, she is only 15, and there's a lot of people around her who may say they care about her, but they obviously don't. Yeah.
What's your question for us, though, based off of this information?
So that's what I'm about to get to. That obviously don't care about her because they're allowing her to do this. So in this situation, what is the right thing for USADA to do as far as the stance on the medal being given to her if she wins it all and they do find out that she didn't ingest it herself, or taking the medal away regardless of the situation, if she knew or she knew not?
This is easy for me. I'm not even about to waste y'all time and talk for minutes or anything like that. She should lose her medal, and that's it. She shouldn't even be able to skate, because rules are rules. It doesn't matter if she ingested it or if somebody else ingested it, because it could have been the same thing with Sha'Carri Richardson. Maybe she got secondhand high. We don't know. They just automatically assume. So it should be the same thing for her. But that's it for me.
Absolutely. Yep. What about you, Rod? How do you feel about that? Should she be able to keep her medal regardless of the situation, or should it be subjected to be taken away if she does end up winning gold?
Gone. Stop playing. Like, her stuff. What are we? This shouldn't even be a argument. And I don't know why.
You know, it's a real argument.
I don't know why people try to make this the same situation as Sha'Carri, because it's not. It's definitely not, because I mean, she knew the rules too, and obviously the rules, were held. So, and I'm gonna keep it a buck. Y'all gonna hate me for this, but Sha'Carri not even like that, because I seen Shelly Ann get busy
when she got burnt.
Shelly Ann and them three Jamaican girls was getting busy.
Yeah, bro.
So I mean, but hey, she young, so she got time. But yeah, her stuff took. Like, simple, like, your stuff took. Whether it was ingested by you, anybody else.
I do think Sha'Carri like that.
I like Sha'Carri. I like Sha'Carri, but y'all was trying to.
She just
right. They was trying to gas it like, if she was gonna win the whole, not that year, but but no, yeah, her stuff took, regardless of age, regardless of. At the end of the day, a rule is a rule, and it's like, shouldn't we already be looking to take them off the strength that is Russia and y'all known for stuff like this? So I'm not saying that every situation should be, treated, like that, like, oh, like we out to get y'all. But knowing that that is in your history and that is, a part of what y'all be doing for the Olympics, I mean, I don't think that it should be like that big of a question. Like y'all should have already just came to a conclusion with this. So, I mean, it sucks, but hey, the rules are rules.
Yep. So in both situations, no reward. I mean, you break the rules are there for a purpose. And if you want to discuss in the comments on your stance on marijuana and that being a substance that shouldn't be
I do agree with that
in the sport, that's a whole different argument. And I'm not here to say I disagree with you on that, but that's a whole different argument, and we have to be sure to separate those two arguments from what is.
Facts.
Fendi is fact. Hey man, have y'all ever, just had like real dry scalp? I know that's just random to throw out there, but have y'all?
Bro, when I wear these headphones all day, literally for work, they rubbing on your head all the time. Like it's dang a real thing.
Like, so this is what we can do, bro. We can get you some Purify Me products, which is a natural hair oil company. And she sells body butters and beard oil, which I'm gonna put y'all onto soon. But if y'all are interested in something that's gonna get rid of that dry, nasty scalp or any other issues you have, go to purifymeproducts.com and just go ahead, hit that add to cart.
Absolutely.
Bro. Get that, rub it
You'll
in your
be
hair.
good. I used to have a Mr. Clean, and now I got one of these. Y'all see me? Purify Me got me right on my soul. That
yes,
oil.
Sir. Yes, sir.
It's time for the game.
Anyways, bro, let's get right to the Jeopardy game. You know what? The torch needs to be passed, Jay. Can you get that torch and pass that over to Rod?
I got you. What's up, Rod? Let's crack us off.
All right.
Bro, I started to hand it down on my screen, but I'm like, the viewers do not know he's below me on my screen. Like,
hey, so basically for Jeopardy, we have 3 categories. This is a Black History Month edition of Jeopardy. Just to teach you guys a little bit about Black History Month, some culture, some facts. We have 3 categories: inventions, historical figures, and then common misconceptions about Black people and Black culture. So let's just get right to it, man. You guys what category do you guys want to start with first?
Let's start with yours. Since you talking, man, this is your game.
All right, now. So, let me get that.
Hey, how we gonna do this though? Like,
that's family feud, bro.
If we both got the answer, who get to go first?
Yeah, whoever throw the hand up first. I hope it don't lag. All right.
Say look.
So the first question.
Put my hand on my mic.
Who invented the stoplight? Dang.
No, you can go ahead.
That's kind of same time.
That's an easy one. Go ahead.
Stoplight. I can. Dang it.
Garrett Morgan.
Was it Richard?
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, Garrett I had it wrong anyway.
Yes, that's the answer. He also invented the safety hood or smoke hood, which was an early version of gas mask that was actually used in World War I. So that's
Stop this playing. Way. Stop playing. Stop playing. That's me.
So
Jay, do better. If you knew better,
JC got one. So all right. Who invented the automatic gear shift?
I want to give you one, Jay. Okay. Actually, I really don't know this one. Is that Richard Spikes?
Yes, that's Richard Spikes.
I knew you had something to do with driving.
I actually didn't know. You feel me? Like this is what I do.
Richard Spikes. He also has eight patents in the U.S. right now. So he has a plethora of other inventions as well. And then, who invented the clothes dryer? It's a hard one. JC, dang, bro, you think it's come?
Nah, bro, I'm about to go ahead, Jay. You gotta at least guess, because I mean, we do have a selection of people we can choose from. So he did give us a good 10 list. So
Is it Otis Boykin?
No, bro. It's Latimer.
You wrong too. It's George T. Sampson. He invented the clothes dryer.
No, I didn't want to get them all right, bro. I knew that.
So who invented the light bulb?
That's Latimer. Come on now. I'm sorry, Jay. You just looking.
I'm gonna go with it because he said it, bro. I don't know people.
I'm gonna keep it 2 billion.
To be honest, like
you're wrong. It's actually Jefferson. He invented the real light bulb, but he invented the filament.
Oh, the
filament.
Yeah, there we go. Stop playing, bro. You know what I knew that though. You ain't have to do that to me.
Yep. So he invented the carbon light bulb filament. Lewis Howard Latimer, and then who invented the electrical resistor?
Go ahead, Jay.
Lewis Howard.
Guy.
Who?
That was dude that invented the filament.
Otis.
I thought he did both.
That's Otis Boykin.
Yeah.
He invented the electrical resistor used in computing, missile guidance, and pacemakers.
You feel me? This is what I
All
do.
right.
I learned something today.
Y'all feel me? You know, let me just.
Hey.
Stop playing.
2 more categories. So
what? I am black as can be. Black is me.
Guy.
All right, let's get back into it. All right, I'll go next, which is historical figures. So I gave y'all 10 answers that y'all can select from, but I'm going to read the first question. He wrote the book Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, and is known for saying, "That of which you do most is that of which you do best." Rob.
That boy, Kanjofu.
Oh, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Doctor.
All right. Who said our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter? Oh, there we go, Jake. Yes, sir.
Malcolm X. No.
Oh, my goodness.
Is it the
Barack?
Okay.
Barack.
Go ahead, Rock. Y'all out here playing
MLK.
Y'all out here playing games. That was MLK, bro.
Okay.
That was literally one of his most famous speeches.
He got 1 million.
No, I'm just playing. This one actually tough. This is a tough question. And this is something that I recently learned like 3 or 4 years ago. So if y'all don't know this, I don't even, Who created the Organization of Afro-American Unity? Go ahead, Rob.
Let's see. Afro-American Unity. Rosa.
Go ahead, Jay. You can say what's...
We're gonna go with Barack Obama.
MLK.
Are y'all playing with me?
MLK.
No. Malcolm X. Oh my goodness, y'all dirty, bro.
Hey.
Y'all dirty.
Bro, I know a lot of different organizations, but I don't know African American Unity. I know Association of Criminal Justice for Black People, Advancement of Colored People.
I'm glad we did this game.
For Negro Life.
Because this is actually funny, but it also, because if y'all didn't know, that means that our viewers probably most likely didn't know either. So I'm glad we did this. But this is a give me. The first African American president.
Obama.
Actually, it was
Barack
Abraham
Obama.
Lincoln, they said.
They
said Abraham.
That boy not black.
Yeah, they filed for that.
All right. This is something I learned in my African American history class that I took in college. So I'm going to give y'all the first gimme. This should be easy.
Rosa.
Who refused to give their seat up? Yeah. Who refused it first?
Dang. Oh, my God, I forgot. Bro, I forgot.
Jay, you don't know it all?
No.
Claudette?
I forgot, yeah.
She was a
teenager. Another woman.
So, yes, sir. And it wasn't talked about as much, but she did it first. And she was found guilty for her actions. So, y'all should look her up. She's a very courageous woman. But you guys went 2 for 5, which is, I guess, not measurable. But it's pretty sad. Jay, we need some help. Have you got one? Oh, you got Barack Obama right. And now it's your turn to ask us questions. Let me see what we got going on. Watch me get them all wrong because I didn't do nothing but talk crap.
Nah, the 3 of them are true or false, so you got good odds. here. All right, let's start it off. Black History Month is only celebrated in the U.S. True or false?
True.
Rod. It's false.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Black History Month is actually celebrated in 3 other countries as well. I was surprised about that too.
But why didn't you let me? Oh yeah, because I guess the other answer.
What countries?
Never mind.
Yeah. I have to go the Netherlands, Britain, Ireland, and there's one other country that actually was on there. It was 4. After I'd have to look it up. But yeah, I was surprised about that too. I didn't know it was Canada. How am I
Canada?
Canada. Yeah. Which made sense.
Let's stop playing on this pod, bro.
Liddy again, huh? All right. Here we go. Next question. First Black History Month started what year? 1976, 1970, 1964, 1999.
Oh, that's a good one. 1964.
76.
Button,
76.
If I had it, it'd be going off. 76. Now we need
94.
1970. 94.
See, I thought it was 64 because what year did? Hold on.
This man.
Nope.
We don't have time for.
See,
for Google.
So
I thought
before,
it was 64 only because like a year later Malcolm X died. So I thought they implemented that a year before, but I got that wrong. My bad.
So one cool thing that I had actually learned searching that fact, because I didn't know right from the rip either. I actually thought it was 1976, but so before 1970 it was 26. Yeah, 1926. That early was actually the start of Black History Week, and it didn't grow until a month in the 70s. But yeah, that's huge to even think that in 1926 Black History Week became a thing that early, because I wouldn't have thought in 1926 it would have been something so great for Black people, to be in existence.
Yeah, let's get it.
Dang, we over 2, right?
Let's get it.
Next question, part 3 right here. Get a bucket. True or false? Black History Month is held in February in respects of Frederick Douglass' birthday. Rod.
I said true already.
True.
You did?
Yes,
I didn't hear nothing. Maybe these delayed or something. All right, that's a bucket.
You're foul.
That's a bucket.
I will
He
admit,
definitely didn't raise his hand.
I was thirsty. Rod definitely got that.
That is true. It was definitely planned in the respects of Frederick Douglass' birthday. All right, question 4. So we 1 and 3 right now. Got a chance to go 50-50. True or false? Enslaved people were part of the local market and economy before national emancipation.
You said part. Can you read it over again?
No, if you gotta read it over, I'm going.
Oh wait, no, false.
All right, what's up, Jay? Jay?
That's true.
It's true.
Stop playing.
There you go.
Out here, boy.
Not only were they part of the local market, but you actually had some people that became rich enough to buy their freedom doing trades within the local market. All right.
Learned that in my class as well, man.
So you're breaking 50-50 now. All right. Last question. Black History Month was born from what organization's efforts in 1915? That's an important date. 1915. So reference that to when these organizations started.
NAACP.
I'll say I don't have a.
Damn.
No.
It was Black Lives Matter. Association. It's National Association of Advancement of Colored People, and I don't remember the rest of that, but I'm pretty.
That's NAACP.
No, but that's the closest.
I know.
It was.
I wanted to see if y'all go. I wanted to see if y'all go test
What?
No, it's an association of the study of Negro.
I don't like that either, bro.
History.
Let's talk about that.
I don't like to use the N word no more like that either, really. But
So
yeah.
I mean, I won't use it, but in the context of studying for history purposes, I say it because it makes sense. Like
Okay,
it's
so
what's used in the literature. Yeah,
Association
but
for the Study of Negro Life and History.
yep,
Cool.
It looks like I won this game.
organization. Of,
You
Hey,
know,
there are
and I'm
no
proud of
winners.
myself.
There are no losers.
Only
Only learners.
learners,
Something
right?
like that.
Something like that.
Finna put on my hotel.
Hey
We
Who
are
man,
said
all
that?
winners.
we
Who
said
said
that.
that?
On
JC
me.
and Rod T. We said that.
It's definitely.
Boy, put that on the screen right
I,
now.
I feel like I lost to that game, but
Yeah.
I'll
But
make it up somewhere
basically,
else.
we just wanted to do that for you
All right.
guys, so you guys could get some lesser known Black history facts, and you know, we be putting in work. Our race, our culture, we put in a lot of work,
Definitely
man.
do.
So, you know, I appreciate
Definitely
this
do.
month. It's crazy. Ooh, I actually did want to save this for the pod because I remember back when we did our like first or second episode, Jaquan, bro. Wasn't it you saying that you think it shouldn't be a Black History Month?
I still believe that. I knew you were going to bring something vicious like this up because I went back and I watched that EP. I knew this was coming. And that's why I'm prepared. I still believe that to this very day. It shouldn't be solely focused on one month. I think Black History Month needs to be spanned out to American history because that's what it is, especially African Americans. We are American. So why do we only get 1 month to talk about African American history? It should be the entire year, just like it's the entire year for Caucasians. We talk about Thomas Edison and George Washington Bush all year. Why do we only
Yeah.
mention Frederick Douglass, Rosa Parks, and all those people within this short little month? So for the show, we went ahead and mentioned Rosa Parks, MLK, Frederick Douglass, because those are
Right.
kind of give me's, but at the same time, you can learn something within that. The reason why we did that is because we wanted to kind of be familiar with what you guys already know, but also give y'all some, little touches here and there. But a month does not give us enough time to talk about Latimer, Boykin. It doesn't give us enough time to talk about any of these other people. So no, we should not have a month.
Okay.
And if you think that we should,
I was
something's
gonna
wrong with you.
say, so
And
you
I'm willing
expect
to
me to
fight.
wear this hoodie every month? All right,
I do.
noted. So I'm
Yeah, wear it to the stink, bro. To the stink, bro. So it's musty, boy.
To smell like history, huh?
Oh man.
Hey, but no, I agree, but I always said for a different reason. I said because if you look at the fundamentals of history, history doesn't stop until life and existence itself stops. So if we prolong our history as Black people and we keep making history every single day, how can we fit all of that into a month? You can't. History is time and we are forever. So can't do that.
I like that. And I don't like being singled out either. I feel like the Black History Month, it's just for us. I don't really like being singled out because I'm cold all year. I'm not cold just in February.
right.
I'm
Yeah.
smart
And
all year.
I ain't never woke up February and got 10% off on nothing for Black
I
History
just-
Month. So
Yeah, what is it really?
I was
do
gonna
for
say,
us, you
'cause
don't get nothing.
the last thing I was just gonna say was I find it interesting that Black History Month isn't even celebrated in Africa. Because you just brought up some countries and you said like the Netherlands, Britain, and like some European countries.
Yeah,
So-
man, that's what I was thinking. But you know what? I didn't want.
I know why.
into that because I was like,
But
I don't
we're
wanna,
not finna do
I don't want
that.
to say
Yeah,
my
we're not finna do
experience
that
with
today.
Africans, but all I'm gonna say is the African people I met, they let me know you're Black and I'm African. Like I was like, wow, oh, all right, okay, all
That's
right.
why I think we're American history. And like we're on the outside from looking
absolutely.
in from everybody. Because if we all go back to, and I've explained this to one of my white friends before, if we all go back to Africa, we're not going to get
Nah.
accepted there. If we only
No.
stay here, we're not getting accepted here. We go to China, we're not getting accepted there because Black African Americans are different than Africans, and they're different from Americans. So I mean, it's lose for us, and we just got to figure out a way to do the best we can to make our own room.
Yeah, we win when we solve our own problems. We don't need other people. We don't have to run back to Africa, and it's not their responsibility to solve our problems. We solve our own problems. We create strength in our own men in our society, and we raise our own families.
All
So
right. So
sorry.
let's finish this bad boy off strong. What advice can y'all give to little black girls and little black boys out there? Let's start with you,
I mean, I'm
Rodney.
just gonna say, be yourself. Um, First and foremost, and forevermore, just be yourself. Because back to what I was saying about understanding and parents not really understanding kids and whatnot. I feel like a lot of people with the way that they're raised, specifically us black people, you kind of have to put your what you want to the side. Like a lot of stuff is like already understood. So like if you're talking about like financially or certain things that you want to do, like whether it be go out for a sport or whether it be learn an instrument or take a trip, vacations, things like that. Those aren't necessarily always afforded to us based off of your circumstances or your situations. And I feel like that that kind of mindset, it almost limits you. It almost limits like the person that you want to become or the person you could become. And that's just from a monetary standpoint. I'm also talking about as far as, you know, worrying about being judged by not only white people, but your own race. A lot of us are too afraid to be ourselves because of what our friends will say. We talk about it all the time. We have a brutal friend group. And I know that other black, boys alike have a brutal friend group, if not even worse, especially when you're talking about people that came up harder than us. So a lot of, you know, things that you might want to be or become doesn't really align with that. And, there's so much of a big emphasis just as a human on fitting in that you're doing your best to fit in and you're kind of compromising who you are. So that's the main thing I'll say. No matter where you're at, no matter what environment you're in, no matter the circumstance, always be true to yourself because you will thank yourself for that, as you keep living and as you keep going through life because so many different doors and opportunities will open up for you. And it might not necessarily be easy, starting off. It might not ever be easy, honestly. But you can at least have that to hold on to you. And you can at least know that, you'll have no regrets living like that. You'll have no regrets living like that, being who you are and letting the world see that. So that's all I got to say.
I love that, man. I love that. Jay, what you got for us, bro?
So, as far as young ladies that are growing up to be the young women in our society, I want to tell you that I can't tell you much advice on how to be a woman, but the one thing that any man that's being a man should be able to offer is the leadership and what a man is. Um, Always recognize what a man is and what a man does in terms of leadership and how he shows respect to people and the people he's around and brings value to the people he's around. And know that that is what a man is. And anyone that acts indifferent is just someone that hasn't found their purpose as a man yet. And for young men, I say just what I said. Be sure that you take the social responsibility to be your own man and to be a man. And it's okay if you feel that you turned 18 and you're a little bit behind the curve. What's not okay to do is finish last because of that, because you still got a long part of this race to run. And not only can you catch up, but you can excel and beat a lot of these people who've been cruising because they had it easy from the jump and they don't know to run as fast as you got to. So be sure to look yourself in the mirror, identify some things that you could be working on. Never ever be shy to take on a mentor. And if you don't know any mentor, I'm going to tell you first and foremost, you can reach out to YouTube, you can reach out to the internet, or to us even. Yeah, you can email one of us, email the podcast, reach us on Instagram or Facebook, and just chop it up with us and talk and say what's on your mind. And it's important to do that because you get to learn things about yourself. And people that say they know themselves always crack me up. Every single birthday, I feel like I learned something new about myself. I think I said that earlier in the podcast, and I mean that. I mean that. And it's a beautiful thing. I learn new things about myself every single day. And I learn those because they're exposed by the system of mentors I implement in my life to further me as a man. So be sure to do that.
Oh, yeah, man, I love that, bro. Dang, all right, that's
Good
some great
speaking.
advice. So my advice is don't ever let so to dear little black boys and black girls, don't ever let someone define your blackness. And this is something that I struggled with growing up. It was I was too black oftentimes for the white people, and I was too white oftentimes for the black people. There's no such thing. So just remember, for example, Rodney, he likes anime. Most people would say that's not normal black things, but it is. It's okay to like different things because there's no such thing as a normal black person. We are all who we are. We're not monologues. We're all different. So remember that growing up, especially if you're around the age of 10 to 16, there's going to be people telling you that, hey, you're not black enough, or hey, you're too black, blah, blah. Just screw them. Don't listen to them. Focus on yourself and just focus on being the best version that you can be for yourself. And my secondary advice would be make your own room. Don't try to fit into whatever room that society has for you. Don't try to fit into any room that your friends might have for you. Make your own room and do what you think that you need to do for yourself. That's extremely, extremely important. And that's something we do on this podcast. We preach ownership. And it's not just because we want to have our own businesses, we want to do our own things. It's because we understand there's things that we want to achieve that we can achieve if we sit in the same room with the same people that are not going to give us the same tools that they have. So we're recreating everything and creating our own room. So that's the advice that I have for y'all. And before we leave, I just want to say I love y'all, brothers, man. I really, really, really appreciate
Likewise,
y'all.
man.
And if y'all ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you ever feeling emotional, you feeling like you want to harm yourself or anything like that, just know I am readily available every single time. And this is not just to Rod and Jay. This is to anybody that I know, anybody I don't know that may need assistance or help. I will be there for you if you need me.
Hey, I agree. Yeah, that was very well said. Yeah,
All
appreciate
right.
y'all.
Thanks for
And
tuning in.
Hey, great
yeah,
episode, man. Great episode. And
Peace.
get you some walking faith. You feel me? Get you
yeah,
some walking faith. You know what I'm saying?
I got
Walk
a
with
bunch
me.
of stuff.
Facts.
I ain't worried.